The night shift at Galaxis Research Station was always quiet. The long metal hallways echoed with the hum of machines and the faint rhythm of the stars outside. Everyone else had gone home. Only Ethan Cole, the janitor, remained, pushing his mop through the cold corridors, his tired eyes reflecting the soft blue lights of the space station. Ethan was a simple man. Once he had been an engineer during the Earth Wars, but now he worked cleaning alien laboratories, a man trying to hide from his past. No one on the station knew that deep in the maintenance wing, Ethan was hiding something the galactic law would never forgive. Inside a locked storage room, behind broken crates and old cleaning bots, two small figures waited quietly. They were his children, but not ordinary children. Their skin shimmered faintly under the dim light, pale blue like moonlight on ice. Their large, glassy eyes blinked in curiosity, and small silver veins glowed softly beneath their thin skin. They were half human, half Altherian, the forbidden result of a love between a human and an alien from the royal race of Althera. Ethan's heart always ached when he looked at them. He loved them more than anything, more than his own life. But they were not safe here. The galactic law banned hybrid life. If the authorities found out, the children would be taken for study and never returned. "Daddy," signed the little girl, Lyra. Moving her small, glowing fingers in the air, Ethan smiled. He had learned to communicate through hand signs because both his twins were deaf, born unable to hear sound. "Are you hungry?" he asked softly, signing back. Her brother, Kian, nodded eagerly, his bright eyes full of trust. Ethan opened his lunchbox, simple bread and protein bars, and shared it with them. He knew the food wasn't made for alien metabolism, but it kept them alive. He gently brushed Lyra's hair aside and whispered, "One day, we'll live on a planet where no one cares what we are." But that dream felt distant. Every day, patrol drones scanned the station. Every night he heard rumors and about new orders from the alien queen, who had declared that all human Altherian hybrids must be destroyed. He couldn't let anyone find out. Still, danger always had a way of creeping closer. That night, as Ethan left the storage room to return to his janitor's duties, the lights in the hallway flickered. A security drone floated by, scanning the corridor with red sensors. Ethan froze. The drone paused and just a second too long, and then moved on. He exhaled shakily. That was close. He finished mopping, glancing around nervously. The scientist would return in the morning. He had to clean up every trace of his children's presence. He hurried back, but when he reached the storage room, he noticed the door was slightly open. His heart dropped. He had locked it. He was sure he had locked it. He pushed the door open slowly. Inside, Kian and Lyra were gone. "Lyra? Kian?" he whispered, fear freezing his breath. He checked under the table behind the crates, and nothing. Only their food wrappers and two small footprints glowing faintly on the metal floor. Ethan's mind raced. They must have wandered out. The twins were curious, always fascinated by the lights and machines outside. But if anyone saw them, the sound of boots echoed down the hallway. Ethan's heart pounded. He peeked out. Two guards were walking his way. He needed to act fast. He grabbed a mop, pretended to clean, and prayed they wouldn't notice the door. The guards passed by, talking casually about a new visitor, someone important arriving in the morning. "The Queen herself," one whispered. "Inspection tour." "No mistakes allowed." Ethan froze again. "The Queen here." He waited until the guards left, then ran through the corridors, calling softly for his children. Finally, he spotted them, standing in front of a large observation window, staring at the stars. Lyra's small hands pressed to the glass, tracing the shapes of distant galaxies. He knelt down, relief flooding him. "Don't ever do that again," he whispered, pulling them close. Kian looked up and signed, "Pretty stars, Daddy." Ethan smiled weakly. "Yes, and pretty, but dangerous." As he carried them back, he didn't notice the small surveillance orb in the corner, recording everything. And miles away, deep within the royal fleet, a message flashed across the Queen's console. "Subject located. Human male with 2 hybrid offspring. Confirmed coordinates Galaxis Station." The Queen's eyes narrowed. Her voice was cold as she whispered, "Bring them to me." Morning came slowly on Galaxis Station, glowing silver through the thick glass panels. The station floated above a dying red star, and its light painted everything in a sad, rusty color. Ethan Cole, the janitor, hadn't slept.
He sat beside his twins, Lyra and Kian, who were curled under a blanket in the hidden storage room.
He watched them breathe softly and felt both love and fear pulling at his heart. Last night had been too close. The drone had passed by. The door had been left open. Someone might have seen them. And now, the Queen was coming. Ethan didn't know how much time he had left. He touched the small metal pendant around his neck. A half-burned charm from his late wife, Sarai, who had been an Altherian scientist. She died giving birth to the twins, hunted by her own kind for loving a human. Ethan had promised her he would protect the children no matter what. But promises are heavy when the whole galaxy wants your family dead. He sighed and signed softly to Lyra. "Stay here today. Don't open the door for anyone." Lyra nodded, her big glassy eyes full of trust. Kian gave a small thumbs up. Ethan smiled faintly and whispered, "I'll be back soon." Then he slipped out to start his shift before anyone grew suspicious. A warning in the halls. The hallways buzzed with activity. Security guards moved like ants, adjusting scanners and patrolling every corner. The smell of fresh polish and tension filled the air. "Big day," said Dr. Harn, one of the senior xenobiologists, as Ethan passed by with his cleaning cart. Ethan forced a smile. "Yes, sir. Heard the Queen's visiting." Harn nodded, eyes shining with fear. "They say she's searching for abominations, half-bloods, can you imagine?" He laughed nervously. "If such creatures existed, they'd be executed instantly." Ethan's chest tightened. He just nodded silently and kept pushing his cart. Everywhere he went, he felt the Queen's presence, even before she arrived. Posters showed her royal image, tall, elegant, with burning golden eyes and markings of pure Altherian blood. To humans, she was almost divine. To Ethan, she was death walking on two legs. When he reached the maintenance bay, he found Tess, a young technician, sitting on a crate. She smiled kindly. "Hey, Ethan, you look tired." "Didn't sleep much," he admitted. "Big inspection. Everyone's scared." She leaned closer and whispered, "Be careful today. The scanners are running deep sweeps. If you're hiding something, they'll find it." Ethan froze. His heart skipped. "What do you mean?" She looked away. "Just be careful." Then she left quickly. He watched her go, his mind spinning. How much did she know? The Queen arrives. The station trembled slightly as a massive shadow passed over the observation deck. Through the glass, Ethan saw it. The royal cruiser, black as midnight, covered in glowing golden veins. The Queen had arrived. The announcement echoed through the halls. All staff to primary sectors. Royal inspection commencing. Ethan's hands shook. He needed to get back to the storage room before the royal guard started scanning. But every hallway was blocked. Patrols moved in formation, checking IDs, scanning rooms, searching for unauthorized life forms. He couldn't risk running. That would only draw attention. So he grabbed his mop, pretending to clean while his mind screamed for a plan. Minutes later, the elevator doors opened, and she stepped out. The alien Queen of Althera. Tall, graceful, wearing armor that shimmered like liquid gold. Her eyes glowed faintly, and every guard bowed their heads. The air seemed heavier around her, like she carried power itself. Ethan kept his eyes down, praying she wouldn't notice him. But as she passed, she paused for 1 second and looked straight at him. Her eyes were sharp, curious, almost knowing. Then she moved on. Ethan's heart raced. Did she recognize him? Did she feel his fear? He hurried away as soon as it was safe, slipping into a side corridor that led to his secret room. But halfway there, his communicator beeped. "Ethan Cole, report to Section 9. Immediate cleanup required." Section 9, the storage wing, his hiding place. His blood ran cold the discovery he ran. His legs moved before his mind could catch up. When he reached the corridor, 2 guards were already there, standing outside the door to his secret room. "Sir," one said, "we detected unusual biosignatures in this area." Ethan forced a calm smile. Probably a leak from the waste vent. "I'll check." He stepped forward, but one guard blocked him. "Queen's orders. No one enters until the scan is complete." Then, before Ethan could speak, the door hissed open automatically. Inside, the faint glow of blue light spilled out, his twin's luminescent skin reflecting from the shadows. The guards froze. One whispered, "What in the stars?" Kian looked up, eyes wide with fear. Lyra clung to her brother's arm. Ethan's breath stopped. Everything around him faded in the sound, the light, the air. He moved without thinking. He slammed the alarm panel, cutting power to the room. Lights flickered out. The guard shouted in confusion. In the darkness, Ethan grabbed his children's hands. "Run," he whispered. They ran through the maintenance shafts, hearts pounding, footsteps echoing behind them. Somewhere above, the Queen's cold voice echoed through the station speakers. "Find the human. Bring me the children alive." Ethan didn't look back. He knew what she wanted, and he knew what he would do to stop her. The alarm screamed across Galaxis Station. Red lights flashed, painting every wall in a warning glow. Ethan Cole ran through the maintenance tunnels, holding the small hands of his twins, Lyra and Keon. Their glowing skin flickered faintly in the dark, betraying their fear. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. The Queen's soldiers were already searching. Behind them, mechanical footsteps echoed, metal boots on steel floors. "Stop by order of the Queen," one shouted. Ethan didn't turn. He knew what would happen if they were caught. The children would be taken, experimented on, destroyed. They reached an access hatch. Ethan pulled it open and pushed the twins inside. "Stay low," he whispered. "Don't make a sound." Keon nodded quickly, holding Lyra's hand tight. Ethan crawled in after them and sealed the hatch. The air inside smelled of oil and dust. It was narrow, suffocating, but it was their only chance. For several minutes they crawled in silence. The sound of distant engines rumbled around them. Somewhere above, Ethan could hear soldiers barking orders. They went down to Section 12. "Search every vent." Lyra's small fingers tapped on his arm. She signed, "Daddy, are we going to die?" He looked back at her and forced a smile. "Not today, sweetheart." His voice shook, but he meant every word. They reached a small junction chamber lit by a single flickering bulb. Ethan stopped to catch his breath. His body trembled from exhaustion. The children sat beside him, holding each other. He couldn't keep running forever. They needed a way out of the station. A soft, metallic sound came from above. Ethan reached for his wrench, ready to fight. But then a familiar voice whispered through a vent. "Ethan, it's me, don't panic." It was Tess, the young technician who had warned him earlier. She unscrewed the vent cover and dropped down lightly, her face pale. "You have to move," she said quickly. "They're locking down every exit." "How do you know?" Ethan asked. "I work in the control room. I saw the Queen's orders myself. She's not leaving until she finds you." Tess looked at the twins, eyes widening with shock and awe. "They're beautiful. I didn't believe the rumors." Ethan grabbed her arm. "Please help me get them off this station." Tess hesitated. "If they catch me helping you, I'll be executed." "I know," Ethan said, "but they're just children." For a long moment, Tess said nothing. Then she took a deep breath and nodded. "There's an old cargo shuttle in Bay 14. It's not registered. If we can reach it before lockdown, you might escape." "How long do we have?" 10 minutes, maybe less. Ethan lifted the twins. "Lead the way." They moved fast, slipping through the maintenance tunnels and old storage routes. The sounds of soldiers and scanners echoed in the distance. Twice they had to hide behind machinery as patrols passed. Each time, Ethan held his breath until the footsteps faded. Finally, they reached a dark hangar. The old cargo shuttle sat in the corner, dust-covered and forgotten. Tess ran to the control panel, typing rapidly. "I'm bypassing the launch code. This will only take a minute." Ethan set the twins inside the shuttle. They huddled close, frightened but silent. He turned to Tess. "Come with us, you can't stay here." She shook her head. "If I leave, they'll know which ship you took. I'll delay the sensors instead, buy you time." "Tess, go," she snapped, tears in her eyes. "You promised to protect them, don't waste it." Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, but there was no time. He grabbed her hand once. "Thank you." Then he climbed into the shuttle and sealed the door. Through the window, he saw Tess running toward the control booth. She raised her hand once before turning away. The engines roared to life. The old shuttle shook as it lifted from the hangar floor. Ethan strapped the twins in, his hands trembling. "Hold on," he said. The station's alarms grew louder. Over the radio, a cold, commanding voice echoed. The Queen herself. Unauthorized launch detected. Disable it immediately. Energy blasts streaked past the shuttle as it shot through the hangar doors. Ethan gritted his teeth, pushing the controls harder. The small ship trembled violently as it entered open space. Alarms blared in the cockpit. A blinding flash lit up behind them, the hangar exploding as fighters launched in pursuit. Inside the shuttle, Kian covered his ears even though he couldn't hear the noise. Lyra clung to her father, tears glimmering in her eyes. "It's okay," Ethan whispered. "We're almost free." But freedom was still far away. Outside, the Queen's royal cruiser turned slowly, its massive cannons locking onto their tiny ship. In her throne chamber, the Queen watched the shuttle on a holographic screen. Her golden eyes narrowed. "So," she murmured, "the human runs. Let him. I want him to believe he can escape." She raised a hand and her fleet moved into formation, spreading across the stars like dark wings. Inside the shuttle, Ethan's scanner beeped, a dozen enemy ships following them. His heart sank. "They're not giving up," he whispered. He looked at his children, their innocent faces glowing faintly in the dim light. He smiled sadly. "No matter what happens," he said, "I'll never let them take you." The stars stretched into lines as the shuttle jumped into hyperspace, leaving the Queen's fleet behind, at least for now. But the hunt had only just begun. The stars faded into swirling clouds of gray and blue as the shuttle dropped out of hyperspace. Warning lights flashed across the control panel, and the ship trembled violently. Ethan Cole gripped the controls, trying to steady the failing craft, but smoke poured from the damaged engine. The ship had taken too many hits escaping the Queen's fleet. "We're going down," he muttered. The twins clung to their seats, wide-eyed but silent. Kian pointed toward the viewport where a huge planet spun below, covered in silver mist and shadowed oceans. No signal came from it, no cities, no lights. It was a dead world. "Hold tight," Ethan shouted as the ship plunged into the atmosphere. Flames licked across the hull. The sound of cracking metal filled the cockpit. The children closed their eyes, gripping each other's hands. The crash felt endless. Then, suddenly, silence. When Ethan opened his eyes, everything was dim. The air was thick with dust and the faint hum of cooling metal. He unstrapped himself and checked the twins, both alive, shaken, but unhurt. Relief washed over him like a wave. He kissed their foreheads and whispered, "We made it." Somehow. Outside the ship, the world was quiet. The sky was dark and filled with strange clouds that glowed faintly from within. The ground was covered with pale moss that pulsed with light when he stepped on it, like it was alive. The air was breathable, though heavy, and there was an eerie calm all around. Lyra tugged his sleeve and signed, "Where are we?" "I don't know," Ethan replied softly. "But we're safe. For now." They set up a small camp beside the wreckage. Ethan scavenged supplies from the ship, food packs, blankets, a flare gun. The twins explored carefully, their glowing skin blending with the planet's strange light. Everything here felt ancient, forgotten. As night fell, a soft mist rolled through the valley. It carried faint whispers like voices calling from far away. Ethan stood guard holding a small blaster. The mist thickened and he saw a shadow moving through it. Tall, slow, deliberate. "Who's there?" he called out, aiming his weapon. From the mist stepped a figure wrapped in tattered robes. Its face was hidden, its movements calm. "You should not be here, human," it said, its voice deep and old. "This planet is forbidden." Ethan didn't lower the weapon. "We crashed. We'll leave once the engines are fixed." The stranger tilted its head. "No one leaves this world, not without the planet's permission." Lyra and Kian peeked from behind the shuttle. The stranger turned toward them and froze. Its hood slipped back slightly, revealing glowing silver eyes. "The children," it whispered. "Half Altherian, half human, so the prophecy is true." Ethan stepped between them. "Stay back." The being raised both hands. "I mean no harm. My name is Viel, the keeper of this world. I once served the Altherian queen, before she became what she is now. Ethan hesitated, lowering the blaster slightly. You knew her? Viel nodded slowly. Long ago, when she still had mercy in her heart. But she was changed, consumed by fear of losing her throne. She saw a vision, 2 children born of human blood who would one day end her reign. To prevent it, she outlawed hybrids and began her purge. Ethan's throat tightened. So that's why she's hunting them. Yes, Vale said, his voice sad. She believes your children are the ones foretold, the Echo Twins, whose voices could awaken the ancient core of Althera itself. Ethan frowned. They're deaf. They can't even hear their own voices. Viel smiled faintly. And yet their silence may be their power. Sound is not the only form of voice. The energy within them, the bond they share, it resonates with the universe's pulse. Even now I can feel it. Lyra stepped closer, curious. Her small hand reached toward Vale, and for a moment the air shimmered where her fingers touched his robe. Light rippled outward, forming faint shapes, like constellations dancing in the mist. Viel's eyes widened. Yes, it is them. Ethan pulled her back gently. Whatever they are, they're just kids. I just want to keep them alive. Viel nodded. And you will need my help for that. The Queen's trackers are already following your energy trail. They will find this world soon. Ethan's heart sank. Then we need to move. There is a temple, Viel said. Old and hidden. It was built before the Queen's rise, a place where the Ancient Ones stored their knowledge. If the twins awaken what sleeps there, they may have a chance to survive. Ethan looked down at the children. They stared back, trusting him completely. He had no idea what kind of destiny was waiting, but he knew one thing. Running was no longer enough. Take us there, he said. Viel turned, his robes gliding through the mist. Follow closely, human. Once you step inside the temple, there will be no turning back. As they walked into the glowing fog, Ethan looked up at the strange sky, where the stars pulsed like living eyes. Somewhere far beyond them, the Queen's fleet moved through space, searching relentlessly. In her throne chamber, the Queen watched a faint energy signal flicker onto her screen, the trace of the twins. A slow smile curved her lips. So, she whispered, they've reached the forbidden world. Perfect. Let the prophecy end where it began. And as her ship turned toward the silent planet, Ethan and his children disappeared into the mist, unaware that destiny itself was waiting for them in the heart of the ancient ruins. The mist wrapped around them like a living thing as Ethan followed Vale through the glowing valley. The twins walked close, their small hands gripping his coat. Each step echoed softly like the planet itself was listening. Ahead, faint lights shimmered between the cliffs, ancient runes carved into black stone walls, pulsing gently like heartbeats. This is the Temple of Origins, Vale said quietly, built before the first queen ruled. It remembers what the galaxy has forgotten. The entrance loomed before them, a massive gate made of silver stone covered in strange symbols. When Lyra touched one of them, the markings glowed brighter, spreading across the wall like veins of light. The gate opened with a low rumble, revealing a vast hall filled with floating crystals and soft blue fire. Ethan stared in awe. What is this place? A library of life, Viel said. Every world that ever existed, every species that ever lived, their essence was recorded here. The Altherians once guarded it, before they turned greedy and proud. Kian wandered toward a pool of light, his eyes wide. Reflections danced across the surface, human faces, alien faces, merging and shifting. Daddy, he signed, they look like us. Ethan knelt beside him. The images in the pool showed humans and Altherians standing together, working side by side. Maybe once we weren't enemies, he said softly. Viel's gaze darkened. Once we were one. The Altherians were born from humans who evolved under alien suns. The Queen hides this truth. She built her empire on lies. That humans were weak and that purity gave strength. Your children are proof she is wrong. Ethan looked at Lyra and Kian. Their soft glow seemed brighter now, reacting to the temple's energy. He felt pride and fear. If she finds out they're the key to this place, Vale interrupted, she already knows. That is why she's coming. The ground trembled as if the planet itself had heard his words. From deep within the temple, a faint hum grew louder, a song without sound. The twins turned at the same moment, their glowing eyes fixed on a tall crystal in the center of the hall. It pulsed once, then twice. Lyra stepped closer, drawn by something invisible. Ethan reached to stop her, but Vale held up a hand. Let her. The temple calls to her. The little girl touched the crystal, and the entire hall exploded with light. Images filled the air, galaxies spinning, stars being born, and a voice whispering in a language older than time. Ethan couldn't understand the words, but Lyra could. She tilted her head, listening to something only she could hear. Her fingers moved in slow signs. They want to help us, she said. They're showing me. Adorkian stepped forward too. The crystal glowed brighter where his hand met hers, and suddenly the two children were surrounded by spirals of energy, threads of light weaving around them like ribbons. Ethan shouted their names, but Vale stopped him again. They are awakening the bond, Vale said. The prophecy spoke of twins who would open the core, the voice of the stars. No one believed it could be real. The air vibrated. Ethan felt the energy press against his skin like a storm. His heart raced with terror and wonder. If this wakes something dangerous, it will wake what the Queen fears most, Vale said grimly. The truth. Then the temple doors shook violently. A deep boom echoed through the chamber. Outside, the sky burned red. Ethan ran to the entrance and saw it. The Queen's fleet descending through the mist, black ships tearing the clouds apart like knives. Explosions lit the horizon. She's here, Ethan whispered. Vale's expression hardened. She has found you. We must defend the temple. If she destroys it, the knowledge of both species dies with it. Ethan grabbed his blaster and checked the charge. Then we fight. He turned back to the twins. They were still touching the crystal, their faces calm even as light flowed through their bodies. He didn't understand what was happening, but he could feel something inside him shifting too. As if their connection reached into his heart, the temple's energy grew stronger, wrapping around them like armor. Outside, the Queen's voice thundered through the air. Human, step forward! You cannot hide what belongs to me. Her image appeared in the mist, tall, glowing with cruel beauty. Her soldiers spread out, aiming weapons toward the temple. Ethan raised his blaster. They don't belong to you, the Queen smiled coldly. Then you will die for them. Before she could give the command, the ground split open. A blinding beam of light erupted from the temple's core, spreading across the sky. Every ship in the Queen's fleet froze midair. Inside, Lyra and Kian floated slightly above the ground, eyes glowing white. The crystal cracked open, revealing a sphere of pure energy. Symbols spun around them, ancient and alive. Ethan shielded his face from the brilliance, shouting their names, but the air carried no sound. The energy pulsed once more. Then a shockwave burst outward, sweeping across the planet. When the light faded, the Queen's fleet was gone. Only silence remained. Ethan dropped to his knees, trembling. The twins stood unharmed, the glow fading slowly from their skin. Lyra looked at him, tears in her eyes. Did we hurt them? She signed. Ethan pulled them both into his arms. No, he whispered. You saved us, but Vale's face was grave. You saved yourselves, and awakened something far greater. He pointed to the now open crystal where a vast network of stars shimmered like a map. The core has answered, he said, and now the galaxy will come for you, all of it. Ethan looked up at the glowing map and felt a chill run down his spine. They had stopped the Queen for now, but the war had only just begun. The planet slept under a silver sky, quiet after the storm. The air was still heavy with the echoes of power, the kind that didn't belong to mortals. Ethan Cole sat beside the temple ruins, watching the horizon glow faintly. Smoke rose from where the Queen's fleet had vanished, though part of him feared it wasn't truly gone. Nothing that powerful died so easily. Lyra and Kian slept beside him, their small forms curled beneath a salvaged blanket. Even in sleep, their skin glimmered softly. It wasn't just light, it was life, pulsing in time with the rhythm of the planet itself. Ethan brushed a strand of hair from Lyra's face and whispered, You did it, little star. You saved us. But deep inside, he knew peace never lasted. Behind him, Vial stood quietly, staff in hand, staring at the sky. "The signal has been sent," he said. "Every world that still listens to the core has heard it." Ethan turned. "Signal?" "The awakening of the twins," Vale explained. "It traveled through the old network, the energy web that once connected the Altherian Empire." The Queen felt it. Others did too, Ethan frowned. Others? Old enemies. Old friends. The galaxy will not ignore the voice of the core. Some will come to worship your children. Others will come to destroy them. Ethan sighed heavily. "So we're back to running." Vial looked at him with calm eyes. "You cannot run from destiny, human. You can only walk beside it." Before Ethan could reply, a faint hum drifted through the air, mechanical, growing louder. Vial turned sharply. Ships, Ethan's heart jumped. He shook the twins awake. "Come on. We need to move." They ran through the mist, climbing the ridges that surrounded the temple. Above them, streaks of fire lit up the clouds, ships descending fast. But these weren't the Queen's black vessels. Their hulls glowed bronze and white, marked with the crest of the Reclaimers, a group Ethan had only heard whispers about during his time as a soldier. Freedom fighters who once rebelled against the Altherians before disappearing into legend. The lead ship landed hard, kicking up dust. Its ramp opened and a tall figure stepped out, human, armored, with a scar running down one side of her face. "Cole," she shouted. "Ethan Cole, former Earth engineer." Ethan hesitated, blaster raised. "Who are you?" "My name's Captain Rhea Kale. We caught your signal. You've got something the whole galaxy is talking about." Her eyes fell on the twins, and for a moment her tough expression softened. "They're real." Vale stepped forward cautiously. "Be careful what you say, Captain. Words like that can bring death." Rhea looked at him sharply. "You're Altherian?" "I was," Vale said calmly. "Before your wars?" Rhea nodded slowly, understanding. "Then you know why we can't let the Queen get to them. She's rebuilding. We intercepted a transmission. She survived the blast." Ethan's heart sank. "I knew it. She's using something new," Rhea continued. "Something she calls Project Seraphim. A weapon fused with her own DNA, half machine, half Altherian. If she finishes it, she won't need armies." Lyra tugged Ethan's sleeve, signing, "She's coming again?" He knelt and nodded grimly. "Yes, but this time we won't run. We'll fight." Rhea smiled faintly. "Good, you'll need allies. The Reclaimers have been waiting for a sign. Your children's awakening was it. They might be the only chance we have left to unite what's left of humanity." Ethan looked down at the twins. They were just children, frightened and fragile. But when they looked back at him, there was something new in their eyes, something strong. Vial lifted his staff and touched the ground. Symbols glowed beneath his feet, spreading outward like ripples. "The Queen's new power draws from the same energy as the core," he said. "If we do nothing, she will twist it, poison it, and every living world will suffer." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we stop her before she finishes it." Rhea nodded. "We're building a base on the Shadow Belt, an asteroid field hidden from scanners. We can regroup there." As they moved toward the ship, the twins stopped suddenly. Kian pointed to the sky. High above, the clouds split open. A dark shape descended slowly, glowing red. Ethan's blood turned cold. "No. She's already here." A voice rolled across the valley, cold and familiar. "You cannot hide in my galaxy, human." The Queen's image appeared in the clouds, projected through a massive holographic drone. Her golden eyes burned with fury, but her face was different now, half flesh, half gleaming metal. Her new body pulsed with energy, mechanical tendrils moving behind her like wings. "Your children have awakened powers they do not understand," she said. "Bring them to me and I will spare your lives." Ethan shouted back, "You'll never have them." The Queen smiled. "Then you will burn with them." The hologram vanished and the ground beneath them began to shake. From the sky, dark drones rained down, armed with plasma cannons. "Move!" Rhea yelled, firing at the incoming swarm. Explosions lit the air. Ethan pulled the twins toward the ship while Vial summoned a shield of light that shimmered like glass. "Go," Vial shouted. "I'll hold them off." "No," Ethan protested. "Go, human. Protect the children." Rhea dragged Ethan up the ramp as the drones fired again. The ship's engines roared, lifting off just as the valley exploded in fire. Through the smoke, Ethan saw Vial standing firm, light bursting from his staff as the drones consumed him in a blinding flash. The hatch sealed. The twins cried silently as the ship broke through the clouds. Ethan stared out the viewport, tears burning in his eyes. Ria's voice came over the comm. "We're clear. For now." Ethan looked down at his children, his entire world, and whispered, "We keep moving. We don't stop. Not until she's gone." Outside, in the darkness of space, the Queen's new warship unfolded its metallic wings, glowing with energy from the core itself. The hunt had begun again, but this time the galaxy was watching. The stars were burning, not with fire, but with war. From one end of the galaxy to the other, the Queen's new weapon, Project Seraphim, tore through the void like a storm of light and metal. Entire fleets vanished in hours. Worlds went dark. The ancient prophecy whispered through every transmission. The twins have awakened. The Queen seeks the core. On the edge of the galaxy, a small ship drifted among the asteroids, the Starling. Inside, Ethan Cole watched the chaos unfold on the holoscreen. Explosions lit up distant systems and distress calls overlapped until the comms were nothing but static. He turned off the screen. He couldn't bear to watch anymore. Lyra and Kian sat at a small console nearby, studying the glowing star map that Vael had left them. The map pulsed softly, showing a spiral of light at its center, the heart of the core. That was where it all began. And where it had to end. Ria Kale, the reclaimer captain, entered the cockpit. "We've lost contact with half our allies," she said grimly. "Seraphim's weapon drains energy from the core itself. Every time she attacks, she gets stronger." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we end it. We take the fight to her." Ria gave a tired smile. "You always make it sound so easy." He looked at his children. "They're the key, Ria. Vael said their connection to the core can stop her. Maybe even shut her power down. Or kill them trying," Ria said quietly. Ethan's heart ached. "If we do nothing, everyone dies anyway." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the ship filled the silence. Then Kian stood and signed, "We're not scared." Lyra nodded beside him, her glowing eyes full of calm. Ethan knelt down. "You don't have to do this." Lyra touched his face gently and signed, "You promised to keep us safe. Now we keep everyone safe." Ethan's throat tightened. He couldn't argue with that. The coordinates from the star map led them toward the edge of a dying sun, a place known only in myths. As the Starling approached, the nebula around them shimmered, revealing a colossal structure suspended in space, the core gate. It looked like a broken ring of stone and light. "Big enough to swallow planets, this is it," Ria whispered. The heart of the core. But they weren't alone. From the shadows, the Queen's warship emerged, massive, alive, its hull pulsing with red veins of energy. Her voice echoed through the comms, cold and triumphant. "You cannot outrun creation itself, human." Her image appeared on the screen, her face now fully merged with the machine. Metal wings spread behind her like a god's. "The core is mine. Its power will erase every impurity, every hybrid, every trace of weakness." Ethan stepped forward. "You've already lost. You don't even see what you've become." The Queen smiled. "I have become perfect." The warship's cannons charged, casting red light across the asteroid field. Ria slammed the controls. "Hold on!" The Starling weaved between asteroids as plasma blasts tore through space. The hull shook violently. One hit would tear them apart. "Get us closer to the gate," Ethan shouted. Ria grimaced. "You're insane." "Trust me." She pulled the ship hard to starboard, diving through debris until they reached the glowing ring. The Queen's warship followed, its shadow blotting out the stars. Inside the cockpit, Lyra and Kian pressed their palms together. Their skin glowed brighter and brighter until the air around them shimmered like liquid light. The temple map floated between them, projecting symbols that circled the gate. "They're activating it," Ria shouted. The Queen's ship fired again, but this time the blast froze midair, suspended by a wave of pure energy from the twins. Lyra's eyes turned white as her hands moved in slow, graceful signs. Kian mirrored her. Together they formed patterns that pulsed with rhythm, silent music that rippled through the void. The core gate came alive. Columns of light spiraled outward, wrapping around the Queen's ship. "No," the Queen screamed. "You cannot control what belongs to me." Her ship fired again, desperate, but the energy bent back when striking her own hull. Metal screamed and tore. Ethan watched as the Queen's image flickered, half machine, half madness. "You think love makes you strong?" she hissed. "Love is a disease. It destroys order." Ethan stepped closer to the console. "Maybe, but it's the one thing you can't kill. The twins' light spread, connecting to the core gate completely. The stars themselves seemed to move, aligning around them like witnesses. A massive pulse erupted, shaking space-time itself. The Queen's ship was caught in the wave. Her voice turned to static, then to silence. The red glow of her engines faded to black, and then everything went quiet. The core gate dimmed. The ship stopped trembling. Ethan turned, and the twins had collapsed, their light fading. Lyra! Kian! He rushed to them, heart pounding. Their skin was cold, their eyes closed. No, no, no. Rhea put a hand on his shoulder. They saved everyone. Ethan held them close, tears falling freely. The silence around them was vast and endless. Then faintly, someone a flicker. Lyra's chest rose with a breath. Kian opened one eye and smiled weakly. Daddy, he whispered, though his voice had never spoken before. Ethan froze. Then he laughed, broken, joyful, disbelieving. You talked, he said, hugging them both tightly. You talked. Outside, the stars began to shine brighter again, the nebula clearing. The core gate's glow softened, becoming peaceful, like a sleeping giant finally at rest. Rhea leaned back in her chair, smiling. It's over. Ethan looked out the window, holding his children. No, he said softly. It's beginning, because somewhere beyond the horizon life would rebuild, human and Altherian together. The old fear was dying. The future was being born. And in the silent heart of the galaxy, two children glowed with the light of both worlds, their laughter echoing through the stars, proof that even in the darkest corners of space, love could still defy the impossible.